there, friends and sane persons, and welcome to another episode of Wednesday Whimsy. My name is Kyle, and Wednesday Whimsy is a short show I do every Wednesday evening where I talk about a board game, a top 10 list, or some other board game related topic, whatever happens to be on my mind. I'll let you know what I think about it. Well, we are in top 100 season. I am ready to go with another 20 great games, and I don't want this to be a 15-minute video, so I'm going to get right in. Remember, the top 100 is my top 100 games, effective as of about because that's about when I finalize the list. So I'm just going to tell you real quickly. I'm not even going to show anything because I end up with problems with the server here. So I'm just going to tell you about these games real quick. I'll talk about them more in greater detail at a later time. We're going to start with number 80. So number 80 is a roll and write game, or a flip and write game. It's one of the best ones out there. This is called Hadrian's Wall. And in this game, you are making combo after combo after combo. You're going to get some resources, and then you'll turn those resources in to mark off spots on a sheet, and then those spots will give you access to other spots, and you're just going to have a great turn sort of plowing through and doing as much as you can. And then there's some ways to score from that. There's usually some tracks you're trying to go up. There's another game called the Anarchy, which I really like as well. But Hadrian's Wall is a little easier to teach people. So I think, maybe it slightly wins out, but they're almost the same game, obviously with slightly different spins. I like them both, but Hadrian's Wall is a really good game. My number 79 is a game I've talked about a few times. This is Distilled. Distilled is one of the weird games where I don't know anything about the theme, but it's an interesting theme. The theme is making alcoholic spirits. You're distilling them, obviously. You're gathering the resources you need. You're developing the recipes. And then every round, you're going to make one spirit. And the way that you do this is an interesting type of, a really smart way to use push your luck, because you're going to add all the things you need, and you're going to get some bonus cards, and you're going to pull out two, and then the rest makes your spirit. And at that point, you'll see what you have. And so you can, push your luck and hope you get lucky, or if there's something you need to work, you can guarantee that it works by putting in a few extra ingredients. Really interesting, tight system. It's a fast game, too. It's really not like anything else out there. A great, enjoyable game that's very thematic, even though I don't know anything about booze. But Distilled is a great game, and I'm looking forward to its expansions. Number 78 is a game I end up playing more than I would expect, because I have some friends who always want to play this whenever I see them. This game is called Concordia, and Concordia is one of the best sort of trading in the Mediterranean style games. In it, your sort of core mechanism is you have a hand of cards. You're going to play those cards, and eventually you'll play one that will pick up all the cards back again for you. And so you're trying to time, that's kind of a wasted turn, so you're trying to time that. You're trying to get better cards into your hand, and the cards you have are going to score based upon different things that you could be working for. So you're trying to build up how you're going to score. You're trying to have the most efficient actions, the most efficient turns. There's some great expansions for it, a whole bunch of different maps. There's also some fish that I don't think I've ever used. There's salt, which is a great thing. It's a wild resource. And there's even a variation where you can play with partners. And normally I would say no way. But I actually really enjoy the partnership variant. I have 3 friends who really like it. They're always in the mood, so I end up playing this one with partners quite a lot. I really enjoy Concordia. At number 77, it's come up a little bit this year, and that's just because I've been thinking about it a lot. This is a game from Plaid Hat Games. It was their 3rd game. The first one being Summoner Wars, the second one being Dungeon Run, and then came City of Remnants. City of Remnants is a sort of post-apocalyptic world, and you are trying to build up a deck of gang members that are going to help you to control and build stuff up and have the most points at the end of the game. There's these robot wardens that are kind of dropping in, and you'll have to deal with them as well. It's a really interesting mechanism of deck building. It's unlike anything else. Each card has different power levels for different abilities and different things they can be doing. It's great. There's a couple of problems, right? I think it's long out of print. And then also it can run a little long, and then the board itself, it's difficult to sort of see where everything is because they didn't really print what the cards, the tiles do on them. There's another game called Neon Gods that supposedly fixes some of those problems. It's really the same game, though. But City of Remnants, despite a few flaws, is a really interesting game. It's unlike anything else. It was, I believe, the first Isaac Vega game before City of Remnants. So, I mean, it's just It's a great game. I wish I could play it more. In fact, I think I'm going to have to. Next up, we have my number 76, which is a big game, and this is Mosaic, A Story of Civilization. This is it's a civilization game, but it's one of those games that has sort of light, fast turns. Each turn you're going to do really just one quick thing. You can get resources, you can buy a card, you can, you're building yourself up, building yourself out, and then eventually you're going to score. You can build wonders that give you bonus points for different things. You're trying to have the most power in different areas. There is combat, sort of, but it's not really direct combat. It's more, eliminating people's soldiers, which helps you have kind of more control in an area, not sort of direct head-to-head combat. It's a really interesting game. It's a huge game. It does not fit anywhere. It barely fits on my huge table, but it's one that when I play it, I'm just really enamored with it. And it works really well at two. It doesn't work very well solo. It has a solo mode that's kind of a dud. But the sort of base game, or with two or three, it's perfect. It just sings. I really enjoy this. It's one of the best civilization games out there. And if you can find a table that's as large as the Taj Mahal, I'm sure you can play it somewhere. Number 76, a great game, Mosaic. My number 75 is a game that now is an older game. It's odd that I even think of this as an older game because I remember when it was on Kickstarter. This game is 75 Rising Sun. Rising Sun is a Japanese-themed game. It's sort of Japanese mythology, and you are a clan, and you are trying to take control of these monsters and have sort of area control in different areas. There's a very interesting combat system which is done with money, and you're going to kind of bid on these different actions. It's the same a similar combat system to Cry Havoc, actually, but maybe even a little bit cleaner. And, as you sort of bid on these things, you're going to win the combats and you're going to get points from it. And you're trying to there's a level of bluffing and counter bluffing. There are alliances, which are interesting because each player has a special power. And if you form an alliance, you can each use the special power for that round and then you can break the alliance. It's a really good game. The only problem with it is that it requires, it's okay at 3, but it really is a little bit better at even numbers. And with at least 4 or 5, I think, is the best player counts, just because you'll have a little bit more interaction. But even at 3, I really enjoy it. It's a great game. It looks great, too. Great figures, miniatures. I think it's long out of print, although I think it might be coming back. Because I think Simon sold the rights to Tycoon. Anyway, we'll see. But it's a great one to check out. There's 3 games in the series: Rising Sun, Ankh, and then this one. This one's probably the best. So there we go. It was Blood Rage, Rising Sun of this one. There you go. Anyway, that's my number 75, Rising Sun. My number 74 is the game I have played the most recently. In fact, I played it upstairs right before I came down to record this. My friend Victor is here in town, and he enjoys this game, and so we started listening to the audiobook for Steelheart, and it made us think about it. So this is a really interesting, fun, cooperative game. It's very thematic and very challenging. You are in a world where there's a bunch of superpowered individuals, and each of them is evil. They're all evil, horrible people, and you are trying to take down the biggest bad of them all, whose name is Steelheart. He's invincible, he can fly, he can shoot energy weapons, or energy beams from his hand. He can turn anything that's not alive into metal. He's just a sort of an all-powerful, godlike figure. But each character, each of these epics, they're called, has their own weakness. And if you can find out what Steelheart's is, maybe you can take him down. So that's what you're trying to do. You're working together. It's at its core kind of that Yahtzee mechanism where you're going to roll, save a die, roll, save a die, and then roll again, and then use your dice. And you're using the dice to do various effects, to destroy other epics, and then ultimately your goal is to be focusing on Steelheart, and the faster you can kill him, the more likely you are to survive. But it is very hard. I don't think I've ever won on anything except easy. But it's fun. It's a lot of fun, and the theme is great. There's also a good expansion that adds more, even harder stuff to it. So that's my number 74, The Reckoners. My number 73 is kind of a cheat because it's technically 4 games, but I give this one to game 3. So that way it's not a cheat. Perseverance, The Castaway Chronicles. So in this game, it's, like I said, a series of 4 games. The first game, you're on an island. you've arrived and you're trying to build up your colony and defend yourself from these dinosaurs that are trying to break in and destroy everything. The second game, you've kind of built up a wall around your colony, and now you're venturing out into the forest to sort of see what's there and combating the dinosaurs that way. You can also take some, capture some for use later. Then you'll eventually find a temple. The third game, you found one temple right before it starts, and now you are going out and seeing what other temples you can discover. You're trying to have adventures out in this wilderness that you're exploring. And the fourth game, you discovered the wrong temple. You woke up some ancient power that wants you off the island, and there are monsters and evil characters that are trying to kill you, and you're being chased back, and you're trying to build up your ship to sail away to safety. It's the whole story right there. Is that a spoiler? Maybe, but these are Euro games. This isn't a thematic experience, although the theme is pretty strong. The third game is really enjoyable. It really just sings for me. The core mechanism is there's dice and you're using them to select actions. And then you're trying to score off of a variety of different things. Really good game. A lot of symbols, a lot of setup, a lot of pieces, a lot of words. And, for a 4-game series if you're really serious. But you can play each of them as standalone as well. I really like it, especially, again, the third scenario is just really, really good. So this is on here because of the third scenario. But any of them are worth your time. My number 72 is a game that has fallen down a bit, and that's just because I don't get to play it much anymore. But it's one that I really love. I love the concept of this game. And this game was revolutionary to me when I discovered it. The game is Chaos in the Old World. And in it, you are various chaotic evil gods, and you are trying to gain power. And each of the 4 characters in the base game, or 5 with an expansion, has its own unique way of thing it focuses on. There's one that wants to get points, and there's a point you can win by getting to a point threshold. There's another way you can win is these dials, and it really wants to focus on pumping up that dial. Another one really wants to just kind of be everywhere. And another one wants to be, its ability is that it's more patient than the others. And so it can wait and have a bunch of free, unopposed turns. And it's just really interesting how these different kind of victory paths come together. This is the first game I think that I played that had that on it. And that's why it sticks out so much in my mind. It was just so amazing that it had this concept of everyone's doing a different thing to win. It also has exploding dice. It's got interesting card play. By Eric Lang, and it's the same kind of core mechanisms that are used in Blood Rage, where you're sort of spending this rage or this magic power to do your actions, and you're trying not to spend it too quickly, but sometimes you really want to. Anyway, Chaos in the Old World, long out of print, and I'm sure never coming back, but really worth the time if you're able to find it. Let's go on to number 71. My number 71 is a game that I really enjoy, but I don't play it that often because it's so big. It's one of the first episodes of Wednesday Whimsy. I might have been the second or third one I did, was about Return to Dark Tower. This is an old classic game reimagined by Restoration Games. What you have is in the middle of the board this large monolith, and it's full of skulls, and you're going to use an app that connects with an iPad or something. And every turn you're going to do certain actions, and then you're going to drop a skull into this tower, and that's going to communicate with the app that you've done your turn, and then the app is going to dictate what happens next. It'll draw any events for you, do any upkeep or record keeping for you, let you know when you have to move a monster, all that stuff. There's also a really interesting combat or an exploration system where it's called Advantage, and you have different bonuses. They'll say it gives you 1 advantage. And so you'll calculate how many advantages you have. You go into the combat. You're going to draw cards from a deck, and the deck is kept track of by the game. So you'll flip the card, and it'll say, lose 40 soldiers. And you're like, oh, I don't want to do that. So you can spend an advantage, and now it says lose 10 soldiers. And you say, no, okay. And now it's gained 2 soldiers. And so you can sort of take a bad card and turn it good. And with the big boss, that's especially interesting because it remembers what cards you've affected. So the boss gets easier the more times you fight it. However, you're spending a lot of resources trying to get that done. You beat a big boss, you win the game, that's it. There's an expansion that's very good. There's another one that's coming out eventually. I think it was just on Kickstarter, or it is right now. This is the game I think that may have really put restoration games on the map. Now I know their big success is unmatched, but this game is right behind it for them, and it is fantastic. It's a great implementation. It's big, it's expensive, it's long, but it's a lot of fun. I really like 71 Return to Dark Tower. My number 70 is a game that always lives in my mind as a game I enjoy. I just think, ooh, I really like that game. Hadara, in fact, I sometimes refer to it as the Hadara mechanism at times. It's a civilization-themed game, very lightly. But what you're going to be doing is drafting cards in a kind of a funky way, but you're going to be drawing 2 cards. You're going to pick one to play and one to put on a discard pile for use in a later round. And then those cards are going to give you various bonuses on a track. But the kicker, the Hadara mechanism, is that if I played a blue card, the next blue card I play is 1 less. So for every card of that color I have, the future ones are cheaper. So if I want to specialize, I'm highly incentivized to do so by making lots of things free. And then at the end of the round, you're going to get a bunch of income, and you're going to go again, and you're going to draft the cards from that discard pile. And you do this a few times, the game's over, whoever gets the most points wins. But it's a really fun, satisfying game. It doesn't look like all that much, but it's a really good one. I love number 70, Hadara. My number 69 is a game that won a big award recently, and that is Bomb Busters. Bomb Busters is the Spiel des Jahres winner, I believe, from this year. And this is a cooperative deduction game, and it's a lot of fun. You have a row of tiles, and they're arranged in numerical order, 1 to 12, and there's 4 of each, and they're divvied up among the players. Then you're trying to figure out, based on clues that are available, what number each person has. So if I think you have an 8 and I have an 8, I can activate it, and if I'm right, that kills those 2 8s. If we kill all the numbers in the bomb, we win. Now there's unfortunately a red wire, sometimes more than one, and if you cut that, then you explode and you lose. And you know more or less where it's going to be, but there's a whole lot of sort of silent communication here. It's a really good cooperative game. It can be tense, but it's also easy deduction. It's not like someone's going to be thinking, oh, how did you ever get that? I mean, what number could be between a 2 and a 4? There's not that many choices. Well, there are infinite choices, I guess, but in this game, there are only whole numbers. And the special wires. Neither here nor there. It's a great game. It's a funky-looking game, but it's a lot of fun. That's my number 69, Bomb Busters. My number 68 is a weird game. This is a deck-building game. It's got to be the most complicated deck-building game out there. It was remade recently with a Star Trek reskin, and I like that, but I think I like the original better. And what you have is these civilizations, some real, some fanciful, and they're each you're trying to get points, but each one has its own kind of theme and thing that it's trying to do. Some want to go resource heavy. Some are looking for an artifact. Like there's some Arthurians who really want to find, I think it's the Holy Grail, and when they find it, I think that ends the game, if I remember correctly. But it's really just deck building, but many of the cards you build, sometimes they go straight into your hand, sometimes they go into your deck. Sometimes when you shuffle your deck, the card game's going to build your deck for you, and you're going to get something from a special pile, and you'll get access to buy newer and better cards that are unique to you. There's a lot of fun stuff going on here. Unfortunately, it's very complicated, and there's a whole lot of weird terminology, and there really could have been. I mean, the game really could have done itself a few favors by not doing some of the things it did, but I guess they were conscious choices, and they were repeated in the Star Trek version, so I guess it kind of is what it is. But it's a lot of fun. Solo is amazing. It has a fantastic solo mode, and 2-player is really good. It can be really snappy. If you add in any more than 2, the game can kind of drag, unless everybody knows what they're doing. But it's a great civilization-themed deck-building game. I really love Imperium. There are 3 versions. There's, I think, Classics, Legends, and Horizons, and they're all compatible. Great game. I love it. Now we go on to 67, and 67 is another game that's kind of a pain to teach, and that is Root. Root is a game of woodland might and right. It is I don't know what I did there. I think I leaned on the keyboard. That's what I did. It's a game where you are trying to, it's a very adorable game with cute artwork and figures, and you are trying to get to a certain point threshold first. And that seems easy, but really what's happening is each character has its own special thing it's trying to do. There's some cats, and they want to build up an industry and just mine that industry. There's some birds, and they want to program their movement and keep it in play as long as possible because they will just pound the points the longer they can keep their decree going. There are these woodland creatures that want to set up revolts and blow stuff up. And then there's this raccoon that's going around and buying stuff, selling stuff, trading. And there's a bunch of other characters you can get in expansions. It's a lot of fun. It's a great game because it's so everything's so different, so asymmetrical. And it's a game where when people are playing it, they're like, I've never played anything like this before. Now, that does come at a cost. It is huge. You can see over there, it's right there. I mean, it's in all those boxes. There we go. Those boxes there. So it's difficult to store. It's difficult to teach because each player is really kind of doing their own thing. There are some choices on the game, like in the iconography, that are kind of frustrating. The sort of symbols and where they are on the cards, they sometimes don't line up, and that can be confusing to people. And, when you're teaching it, you really have to know the game well because you have to be able to tell everybody what they can do. And it's a very difficult game to teach. But it's a lot of fun, especially once people know what they're doing. You can have a lot of fun with Root. So that's my number 67. My number 66 is a game that when I discovered it, I thought it was really boring looking. It's called Anno 1800, and it has like a boring picture of a ship on it. And everything about it said this game's going to be really boring. And I remember I set it up, I was playing with Victor, and we set it up, and we were like, we just finished it. We're like, that was really interesting. Let's play it again right now. Because this is a game about like building up your industry. It's a command economy, the board game, as my brother put it. And you've got your stuff and you're building up technologies, and you can always use a technology someone else built. You don't have to build everything. You can build just the things you want to do and then use other people's stuff, and they get bonuses for doing that. And there's these great synergies that can happen, and everyone's really, trying to get the most points, of course, by the end of the game, but it's a really interesting way of getting there. Now, the game does not look great. The artwork is kind of not there. It's just some boring pictures. Nothing about this game says play me, but I suggest you give it a try because it's a lot of fun. My number 65 is a Euro game that's kind of back on my radar because my friend wanted to play it, and I played it, and I was like, ooh, I need to play that again. And it's a game that I remember when it came out, I just wanted to play it over and over again, and I'm surprised I stepped away from it because it's a lot of fun. This is Heaven and Ale. It's a game about making beer in a monastery, which is kind of what monks used to do. And you've got this board that's kind of divided in half, and there's a dark side and a light side, and you're building these resources. And sometimes when you activate them, on one side they'll get you money, and on the other side they'll get you steps on this victory point track, and you're trying to get all of your ingredients up there so that you can get points at the end of the game. There's lots of bonuses to trigger. There's this one-way track where you can go as far as you want, but you can't ever go back. And that's kind of fun. It's a vicious game, and the economy is incredibly tight. But there's a whole lot of bonuses and levers you can pull and things you can try. It's just a lot of fun. I really like Heaven and Ale. My number 64 is a game that's just really special and unlike anything else. I think you can see it right over there behind me. Well, I'm sure it's over there. It lives on that shelf. I can't see it really quickly right now. But it's called Crusaders Thy Will Be Done. And this is a game about building up a round. Ah, there it is. I think that's Crusaders. Is that Crusaders? Yes, it is. That's Crusaders. There you go. I do know where my games are. Crusaders is a game where you're building up a custom rondel. And you're doing a sort of Mancala mechanism, moving around it. And you're going to trigger the space that you went on and get various bonuses. The sort of core thing you're doing is moving around this map of Europe and East Asia, Western Asia, and you're trying to build up things and get points. Thematically, not all that interesting, but the mechanisms are just so fun because there's a lot of things you can specialize in, and you can upgrade your wheel, and everyone has a different starting character that's going to give them some sort of special ability, but the kind of core pieces of it stay the same. it's just really not like anything else. I don't know if anyone loves it as much as I do, but I really enjoy Crusaders Thy Will Be Done, my number 64. My number 63 is a game that used to be called Russian Railroads, but the version I have now is called Ultimate Railroads. It's the same game, 100%. It's just that this has some expansions built in. Ultimate Railroads is a dry Euro with no theme at all. You're kind of building up a train track network, something like that. The game is about figuring out a way that you want to get points, focusing on that way, and pounding it to the ground every single turn. Because the more points you can score, the better. This is a game where you're going to have 300-400 points easily. And there's just so many different things to focus on. When you add in the expansions, German railroads, Asian railroads, American railroads, they change the puzzle slightly, but it's ultimately the same core game. It's a worker placement game. You're also building your own sort of custom worker placement spots as well. Really interesting, lots of fun. Not a looker, but really worth your time. Number 63, Ultimate Railroads. My number 62 is a game that I played a whole lot on the cruise a couple of years ago. And I've played it a lot since then. This is one of, why am I blanking on his name? Alexander Pfister, one of his best games. This is Boon Lake. Boon Lake is another game with no theme at all. You've got boats that are kind of moving down this track and getting bonuses, but really the core of the game is about playing cards that get you bonuses and building up kind of your own economy for yourself that's going to help you get as many things as possible. You're trying to extract as much as you can from the Boon Lake before the game ends. There's industry to build up. There's these goals and really a weird scoring mechanism it's more complicated than it needs to be, but everyone kind of has their own way of their own scoring condition they choose at the beginning of the game, and when you score your own, it's going to be worth double. It's a really fun game. I don't know how much else to describe about it other than that it's not a game to play with the faint of heart, but it's a lot of fun if someone already knows what they're doing and doesn't care about the theme. It's really not a looker, but it's a lot of fun. That's number 62, Boon Lake. And my number 61, I think it might be the first time on the list, but a couple years ago, my brother made me play this, and I had played it before and didn't think that much of it, but I played it again, and I was like, oh, I see it now. I think I had changed a bit as a gamer. I'd played Nucleum, for example, in the meantime, and it opened up a lot of things to me for this game, and I really enjoyed Brass Birmingham. Now, does it need to be the number one game in the world? Definitely not. It's not that good, but I really like it. And it's a game, the sort of interesting thing is, you're going to be playing cards to do actions, and the cards, sometimes they relate to the action, sometimes they don't. A fun thing about it is that you can take a loan, and the loan hurts you in the long run, but it gets you a pot of money. You're sort of, the less you spend, the earlier you get to go in the turn order. That's kind of fun. And then you're trying to build up industry and then use the things that industry produces so that you can get additional points and bonuses. And sometimes other people are going to use your stuff, and that's what you want, because then you don't have to use it unless you really wanted to because you needed it to upgrade something. There's a lot going on here. It's not an easy game at all, but it's a really interesting one, and it's not like anything else out there, which is why I think it's so beloved. It's not my number one game, of course, but it's one that I don't think I'd say no to these days. I think, when I see it sitting there on the shelf, I'm like, that'd be a fun one to play. And it is. I don't think it's best at 2. I think, if you add 3 or 4, it's going to be a little bit more competitive, a little bit more interactive. And that's one of the things that's so nice about it, is it's a very interactive game, even though it's, a dry Euro game. Anyway, that's the end of my top 100 list for today. We're going to be coming back next week for the next 20 games on the list. Now, these videos are a little bit longer, but hey, I don't think I even had any technical difficulties today. Let's knock on wood. I'm going to leave it there because the video is already long. But I'm going to wish you safe travels, courage when you need it, and I hope to see you back again next week for another episode of Wednesday Whimsy. Bye-bye.